There we go. Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth. I'm giving you coordinates because don't you hear there's going to be disclosure? It's coming around again. They're letting it out again. They're coming around again. When it comes unannounced, and it feels like a matador's taunting me with his reddest red cloak, and I am the bull. It's coming around again, perhaps. Disclosure feels inevitable, does it not? Hello, John. Hello, Marion. Hello, everybody. I'll give you the coordinates of Earth, and I will tell you what you have found here today. It's this show called the TNAM Daily Show, and it's brought to you by the new American media, because the old American media has failed you. On today's program, we're going to discuss Katanji Brown Jackson. Can you believe the thing that she said? We have got to fix the thinking in our country. She's claiming that pigment in your skin is a disability. We've got to eradicate this negative, erroneous, divisive, toxic ideology that's crept into so many places, now even our Supreme Court. We'll break it down because the Supreme Court is going to be ruling on a couple of things, and I promise you it's going to be misreported by the usual suspects. Who are the usual suspects? Lying legacy media such as MSNBC, CNN, the Democrat Party, the teachers' unions. They will put out the worst take, the liar's take, the incorrect framing, bumper sticker to just rile up their base and make people angry. Fact of the matter is that we've always been striving to become a more perfect union and reversing antiquated ideals, such as racist discrimination. It's something our country's had to kind of sort out. And the pendulum swung very heavy. 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and today. And now you see glaring cases of discrimination and prejudice as the pendulum swings another direction. And the goal is that you don't have a pendulum of evil swinging. The goal is that the pendulum is not harming anybody on any side. And that's what they're sorting out right now. But you'll watch people laugh at Charlie Kirk, say he deserves it. He said that you can't be a pilot if you're black. If you heard, like, that's like the number one thing you'll hear, and you're like, huh? What? So he deserves to be executed because you said that he said that black people can't be pilots. That's not what happened. And the fact that you would say such a thing is pretty appalling. Terrifying, actually. To realize that some people would promote such falsities as justification for violence. Oh, they must be fascist. Oh, they must be racist. No, the point of that pilot thing. Take away pilots. Let's talk about quarterbacks for the Cleveland Browns. If the owner and general manager give a press conference saying that they're going to sign and draft the most qualified quarterback to lead our team to victory. The Cleveland Browns have decided we are going to be drafting and signing as free agents the most qualified quarterbacks from the Big Ten Conference that we can, so that we can win a championship. And you go, I'm sorry, what was that? I want to win a championship. Yes, I want you to bring in the most qualified quarterbacks. But did you add an extra part to that? Yes. We're saying we're going to sign and draft and develop the most qualified quarterbacks from the Big Ten Conference. Yeah, that part right there. What are you talking about there? Well, our franchise has historically been underrepresented by quarterbacks from the Big Ten Conference. So we're going to draft more. We've ran some numbers across the league and historically, traditionally. So we're going to put more weight into that. And so we're not going to look at the most qualified quarterbacks. We're going to look at the most qualified quarterbacks in the Big Ten Conference. So, well, what about the SEC? Alabama, Oklahoma, LSU, they've been cranking out really great quarterback prospects for a while. Why would we omit that? Well, they've had it too good for too long. See, that right there is the mentality that's being challenged by Charlie Kirk, and that's what's being misrepresented. Like that guy in that video that was laughing and justifying and saying that Charlie Kirk's assassin was a hero because Charlie Kirk was a bad guy because he said he wouldn't know if the black pilot on his plane was qualified. He was literally explaining the problem with DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, which is just discrimination. It stands for didn't earn it. If you block out a player on the field and you just watch the game tape, if you had the ability to do that and you couldn't see the team name on the jersey, block out the skin color, find a way to just draw a trace around them and you get to watch their performance. All you should care about if you're trying to win is just get the most qualified person. And that was the Charlie Kirk point. I don't want someone to look like me or look like the opposite of me. I want someone to be qualified, the most qualified. That's all I want. If you're limiting, well, we're going to draft the best running backs out of the SEC. Why are you going to avoid the Buckeyes? Why are you going to avoid all the other conferences? Are you kidding me? So everything's about how things are packaged. It's all about packaging. The Democrats are trying to package, we're going to have another branded protest nationwide. Rah, rah, rah. Will we wear our pink hats today? Or will we throw concrete at people? What type of violence will we engage in? Will we block the roads and inconvenience everybody in our lives? Who's funding it? Where's this coming from? What is the purpose? It's a tiresome act. All of it is tiresome. The backward policies, the disruption, intentionally shutting the government down. No good reason. No good reason. They're lying about Obamacare. They're lying about stealing your money and giving it to people they snuck in here in the dead of night that didn't get fingerprinted. They didn't get DNA tests. They didn't get the criminal background check like you should do if you're walking through the front door with a bouncer. You show your ID. You pay your cover charge. You're on the up and up. Let me pat you down. You're all good. You're not bringing anything illegal in here. Democrats flooded this country with all sorts, some good and a lot of bad. Now we got to clean that up. That's a mess the Democrats created. Just like Obamacare, they made that mess. It was never affordable. If you like your plan, you can keep your plan. I told Michelle the other day, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Lies, lies, lies. Lost my plan, lost my doctor, premiums doubled. You totally destroyed healthcare. And now if you're hearing Chuck Schumer making an argument like, it's about healthcare. Bro, it's a failing program. It's something that was never built to succeed. It's always been a house of cards. Obama was a pirate, just looting the treasure of this nation as much as he could. And frankly, for that matter, look at the national debt that allegedly went from like 1 or 2 trillion to like 37 trillion since 2001. Bush, Obama, and plenty in the last 8 years too. Third Obama term of Biden, all of it. So we got to take a look at the narratives that are being pushed, and we got to call out the really bad ones to kind of nip it in the bud so they don't permeate. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are not savvy to the media world, and they're more likely to believe in the lies. So it's up to us to kind of sift through, rifle through the rubbish, and separate fake news from fact. So we're going to talk about that. Well, that being the Supreme Court, we're going to talk about that being UFOs, and we're going to talk about more on today's program. Hit like, hit subscribe, tell your friends, share the link. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, Kick, DLive, Locals, and YouTube at the New American Media. Locals is the new one. Locals kind of links up to Rumble, and you can support us on both platforms with memberships and Rumble rants. Still waiting to get a Rumble rant, I think. I think we have a sponsor or a membership. Also, let me give you an update on our YouTube channel. Thank you to everyone who has dropped a super chat. We encourage you. That is our, yes, for the barkeep, daddy, teacher, barkeep, whatever y'all want to call me. Finky. Pinky's up for Finky. All sorts of very interesting inside joke super chats. But yes, you can do that on YouTube. Let me give you the update here. Overview. Oh, I wonder if that changed it. All right, so we are in the 300s now. We need 399 valid public watch hours so that we can enact our advertising revenue on the YouTube channel that we've been stripped of monetization for years. We've earned thousands of dollars on our advertisements, 1,900 videos, millions of views. The fact that we haven't been able to earn an income doing this, and it's forced this to be an entire labor of love, has been ridiculous, criminal. Really. Well, it's a private platform. No, not when the government's working with you hand in hand to do it. No, not when you're in cahoots. Not when fascism from the Biden-Obama White House shut our company down because you didn't like what we had to say. And by the way, all we're doing is trying to get to the reality of what's happening, whatever that may be. If you got a problem with that, we should have a problem with you. But we are within striking distance. So if you guys could pop open a second device and watch as much content as possible, do it. Let's do a marathon of the New American Media content on YouTube. It would be greatly appreciated because, like I said, the tip jar of YouTube memberships and the YouTube super chats. It's been a new revenue stream. I still have to connect it and transfer it from one account to the next, but it's in the works and I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. So link up with us everywhere, including Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat. Make sure for sure you're following us on X at American_media_ and subscribe to our podcast, The Agree to Disagree Show, on Spotify and Apple. We do a sports show also called The Unhappy Hour Sports Show. And if you want some merch, go ahead and let me know. $30 for a set of 4 wooden coasters, $25 for the pin, The Unhappy Hour Sports Show merchandise. And we also have mugs for the New American Media. $40 includes shipping, and we'll get that out to you. Shoot it over on Venmo. Oh, let me give the donation links there. Like I said, we're on Patreon at the New American Media. Venmo Cash App is my name, Brian Engelman, and PayPal is fuzzinstallment@yahoo.com. All right, I'll leave that scrolling at the bottom of the screen. We'll get your comments up here in just a moment. There it goes. And we will begin today's show right about now.
Your guide to the truth, thenewamericanmedia.com.
All right. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today on the TNAM Daily Show. This is Brian Engelman. We are here on the New American Media. Thank you so much for joining. Let's dump all the news out on the table and see what people are talking about today. Shall we? Supreme Court. My goodness, my goodness, my goodness. All right, let me play you some of this. Footage is not a video game thanks to new Eagle Eye technology. Eagle Eye connection technology. It allows American troops to command and control unmanned systems and call for fires through a heads-up, hands-free display. The future of warfare is here. Oh, where's the screen? Yeah, the war field has turned into video games. It's sort of like Avatar. And they've really been practicing this over in Russia, Ukraine. The future of warfare is here. And that's called Eagle Eye. Future of warfare is arrived. All right, well, let's talk about big balls. There's a DC judge, Kendra Briggs. Apparently, she allowed the two teens who jumped Edward Big Balls Corstein. Why? I got to upgrade this ring light. This thing is like flickery. I wonder if it's this adapter or if it's this adapter. Let me try something. I'm going to order a new adapter. Okay, mental note. Jotted down. Okay, so they gave these guys simple probation and stated her job is to rehabilitate, not punish. Elon Musk says this was a racist verdict by a racist judge. The simple test to apply is if the races had been reversed, where a multitude of white kids beating a black kid, innocent black kid, would the white kids be in prison? Is there equal justice for all? We're going to ask, how can we ramp up the recall of terrible judges? We need this upgrade nationwide ASAP. No, violent, crazy people lose their right to hang out in general population. That kid didn't deserve that. Can we reset all judges? Exactly. All right, so here Breitbart is reporting Justice Katanji Brown Jackson refers to Black Americans as disabled during Supreme Court hearing. I find that to be ludicrous, ridiculous, disgusting, incorrect, untrue, disappointing, pathetic, backward. Do you? During a hearing at the Supreme Court of the U.S. involving whether Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act is unconstitutional, according to We Are Breitbart, Justice Katanji Brown Jackson seemed to liken Black Americans to Americans with disabilities. The case, known as Louisiana versus Calais, considers whether Louisiana's congressional map, which includes 2 majority Black districts, violates the 15th Amendment and the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. Plaintiffs in the case argued that the congressional map is unconstitutionally gerrymandered based on race. During the hearing, Justice Jackson seemed to contend that Black American voters are equivalent to Americans with physical disabilities. Quote, so going back to this discriminatory intent point, I guess I'm thinking of the fact that remedial action absent discriminatory intent is really not a new idea in the civil rights laws. In my kind of paradigmatic example of this is something like the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act. She continued, Congress passed the Americans with Disabilities Act against the backdrop of a world that was generally not accessible to people with disabilities. And so it was discriminatory in effect because these folks were not able to access these buildings. And it didn't matter whether the person who built the building or the person who owned the building intended for them to be exclusionary. That's irrelevant. Congress said the facilities have to be made equally open to people with disabilities if readily possible. I guess I don't understand why that's not happening here. that America's what? You're what? She doesn't understand. What? America isn't open to people with disabilities, like black people who have disabilities. That's what Katanji Brown Jackson is saying. Breitbart continues, the idea in section 2 is that we are responding to current day manifestation. Oh, it's still a quote. Sorry. She goes on, the idea in section 2 is that we are responding to current day manifestations of past and present decisions that disadvantage minorities and make it so that they don't have equal access to the voting system, right? They're disabled. Oh my God. There's complete free access. There's complete equal access. What about people that can't get IDs? You can get an ID. Everybody can get an ID. No, some people are incapable of getting IDs. No, they're not. Just point to one. Show me a single person. They're all out there and they're all black or something. You can't check IDs because some people can't get IDs. And they're all certain kinds of people. That's what I'm saying. Why are you saying that? That's false. That's not a thing. Someone wants to have a abortion debate. And what does it always go to? You can't talk about the 99% of cases. You go, what if someone's raped? And you go, that sounds awful. I agree. That's terrible. Okay, well then rape should be available for everybody everywhere, always. Up to 9 months. Up until after birth. And you're like, you took the tiniest percentage of the thing, and now you're just trying to make this wide-ranging conversational point about it. Katanji Brown Jackson. I think her equating to Black Americans being disabled should that should be that should be shockingly appalling to everyone. Maybe some people who always claim other people are racist might disagree, but it in fact proves that they're projecting their racism outward. Wild, wild, wild stuff. So we'll see how that shakes out. Okay, here's Whoopi trying to discredit RFK Jr. Cheryl Hines is not having it.
Say, hey, consult your doctor before you take this. I agree with that, and I think that's okay for moms to hear.
Cheryl?
Yeah, go ahead.
Now,
all right.
I am. This is not your fight, really, to be fighting. Yeah. This is your husband's fight.
Thank you for acknowledging that. But go ahead. But hear what we're talking about.
I do want to say, he's not a doctor and he's not a professional.
Yes.
And oftentimes when he's talking, he is speaking not with the best information that we can get because, we could do a lot better with health stuff. And there's a lot of stuff he can do. And some of the things he's suggested take it out of the hands of my doctor and me and my OBGYN and me. And I wonder, does it give you pause and are you able to say, that might not actually be so because I've got my experience and I've lived with this and I'm still here. So are you able to have those conversations with her?
I am able to have those conversations. And just to be clear, 90% of secretaries of HHS have not been doctors.
But they've had a science background.
There have been 3.
Yeah.
No, to be honest, one of Obama's.
Nah, look at that face. Look at this dopey face on this dope. Sonny, what a weird. Do you see this face? Not to make fun of her, but she's making the derp face. She can't even stand looking at her.
Secretaries of HHS was an economist.
But
so
the majority of them that haven't had medical backgrounds have had a science background.
Wait, don't do anything else. Don't say anything else yet.
Because I do want to say, hey.
Yeah, I'm thrilled we have Bobby Kennedy. I think the Health and Human Services was really kind of backwards for a long time before I took over this administrative role. Frankly, a lot of the people that are part of the business, that's why you don't want people in the business regulating themselves. It's like when they say call the police, they'll investigate themselves and find that they did nothing wrong. It's quite often a better idea to get an outsider inside. And I think they went on to say, like, they accused Republicans or just normal Americans of being scared to go on their show, but they're not booking them. They're the ones who are handling the booking. And I appreciate Bobby Kennedy. Nick Sorter says, breaking, U.S. troops have now received their pay this week. A War Department official confirms. Trump and Hegseth followed through. This is despite Chuck Schumer's efforts to block our heroes from being paid. Thanks to President Trump's leadership, service members received their mid-month salary, and their leave and earnings statements are now available in My Pay, the official says. So that's backfiring. That's from tariff revenue.
You can kind of put anyone in.
Okay, so this is what? A CIA contracting officer, according to No to NATO, No to War, not familiar with the account. They're saying this is a contracting officer, Gavin O'Blennis, revealing the state's strategy for producing criminals and entrapment, the nudge. Not sure the context. They're saying this was recorded March 22 of 24. But I found this interesting.
In jail if you know what to do.
You can kind of put anyone in jail if you know what to do.
How? You set them up.
Set them up.
You create the situation to where they have no choice but to act on their impulse. And once they act on that impulse, then we call that entrapment. We call it a nudge.
A nudge.
A nudge. Sometimes you just gotta give them a quick little, just to see what happens, right?
And how does that happen?
You put a post out there, or you have someone fake profile say something that triggers, that we know is going to trigger them, right? Like we already know your history. If we're to that point, we already know everything about it. So we're like, oh, this will piss them off. Sometimes you like to fuse and just wait for it to follow. Nothing like putting out a fake social media thing to like really get people mad. Post fake news. Sometimes it's not fake. It's embellished a little bit. You can kind of put anyone in jail if you know what to do.
How?
Yeah, you always have to be suspicious of the people who have the ability to throw you in a cage. Always be suspicious of that. So much room for corruption. Raging West here is reporting that President Trump is planning to accept and prioritize refugee claims from white Europeans who oppose mass migration. This is how bad it's become in Europe. Not sure if that's entirely accurate, but on these issues, Raging West has been pretty, from what I've noticed. Let me put this quote into Grok and ask if this was a quote from somewhere, if we could confirm this. I'm guessing no. Grok is searching. Okay, it is partially confirmed based on leaked internal documents, anonymous source as well. Reported by multiple outlets, it accurately reflects proposals under consideration by the Trump admin for overhauling the U.S. refugee system. However, these are not yet finalized policies. Trump has not publicly accepted or announced them. No implementation timeline has been set. Some elements prioritizing white South Africans or Afrikaners has already been enacted informally. They said New York Times obtained confidential docs from the state and Homeland Security departments. Slash annual refugee admissions from 125,000 to as low as 7,500, the lowest since the program's creation in 1980. Yeah. Prioritize English speakers, white South Africans, and Europeans who oppose migration. Refugees to take classes on American history and values and respect for cultural norms to assess assimilation opportunities. So a basic immigration done. You want people to read through your guidebook and make sure that they're on the same page before you let them in. Some of that seems very common sense. All right, so we'll keep our eyes on that. Joe Rogan is going to talk about the UK and how people are fleeing these backward areas that have gone full totalitarian.
Particularly when you think about the UK, which has had more than 12,000 arrests.
Arrests for very mild social media posts. Isn't that crazy? I can't believe that. I've been watching this stuff play out. Fascinating. And the fact that our mainstream media is relatively silent on this is insane. You're seeing a complete, total attack on one of the most fundamental principles of the Western world, which is your ability to express yourself and your ability to call out that you think that the policies that are being implemented in your country are destructive. People have always been able to do that. These people are not calling for violence. They're being arrested for these things. These people are being arrested for liking posts. Some people were investigated for viewing posts. 12,000 people arrested by the police in the UK, the same place that just implemented digital ID. I mean, this is an Orwell nightmare coming to life right in front of our face. And no one's flinching. No one in America is freaking out about what's happening in the UK at all. I mean, some people online get freaked out by it, but they're way more freaked out by nonsensical things like whether or not Jimmy Kimmel said something in his monologue that was offensive. They'll go to the ends of the earth to fight that, but they'll just let this implement itself without much of a whimper. Sad. Elon says a few other things you probably don't know. Illegal aliens in America can get bank loans, mortgages, insurance, driver's licenses, free healthcare. How are you not arrested when you try to get these things if it's being in the country illegally? What are we missing? I guess the term illegal doesn't. Anyway. Free healthcare in California, New York, and in-state college tuition. What's the point of being a citizen if an illegal gets all the benefits but doesn't pay taxes or do jury duty? Huh. Let's give you a moment or two of this report. This is a longer report. I just want to give you the gist of it. Groundbreaking new study in America's college campuses. It appears the mind virus has turned.
Very good news for you today. The social engineering project of transgenderism and mutilating children seems to finally be coming to an end. This article comes to us from Zero Hedge. Surprising shift. Transgender bubble pops at colleges. It says Democrats and their radical leftist allies need an urgent wake-up call after betting the entire political strategy on transgender ideology, which most notably is the effort to queer America's youth into gender-fluid left-wing activists operating in schoolyards and on city streets. That strategy appears to be collapsing, if it hasn't already, as a new study reveals a sharp decline in youngsters identifying as something they're not. In short, youngsters appear to be rejecting the multi-decade social engineering experiment by leftist public school bureaucrats, Hollywood progressive doctors, left-wing NGOs, and other ideological operatives aligned with that globalist agenda. The article goes on. New data from Dr. Eric Kaufman, professor of politics at the University of Buckingham and director of the Center for Heterodox Social Science, revealed a surprising trend that may concern strategists of the Democratic Party. And I'll just issue that same warning to pretty much every single Western government that keeps pushing this. It's going to continue going in this direction. You can see the graph there. New trans identification is in freefall among the young. In Kaufman's report titled The Decline of Trans and Queer Identity Among Young Americans, he discovered that since 2023, both trans and queer identification have fallen sharply among members of Generation Z. Here are the key findings from the report that was condensed and repackaged for consumption on the British news and opinion website Unheard. First of all, sharp decline in trans and queer identities. Among US university students, the transgender share fell from 7% in 2023 to under 4% in 2025. Non-heterosexual identification dropped by about 10 points in the same period. Most affected categories. Declines are concentrated in queer, pansexual, asexual, and bisexual identities. Gay and lesbian shares remain stable. Generational reversal. Freshmen are now less likely to identify as bisexual, trans, or queer than seniors, implying that the downward trend is continuing. Elite institutions lead the decline. Schools such as Andover Phillips Academy and Brown University show the steepest drops, suggesting the trend began in elite academic settings. Non-binary identification fell roughly by half across Fire, Brown, and Andover data sets between 22 and 25. As far as sexual orientation goes, bisexual peaked around 2022 to 23, now retreating. Queer and other rose sharply through 2023, then collapsed by 2025. Gay, lesbian, stable, near 3 to 5%. Heterosexual rebounded to between 77 and 82% across major data sets by 2025. Kaufman on X published a wild chart pack that shows the data cited from major youth surveys, including Fire, Harry, Brown, Daily Herald, Andover Phillips Academy, CCES, GSS, and CDC YRBSS, that shows the trans bubble has popped. Non-conforming sexual identity, meaning queer, questioning, etc., is also in sharp decline. Gay and lesbian are stable, while heterosexuality has rebounded by around 10 points since 2023. Not only this, but freshmen in 24 to 25 were less trans and queer than seniors, whereas it was the reverse when BTQ plus identity was surging in 22 to 23. This suggests that gender or sexual nonconformity will continue to fall. What explains the sudden reversal of trans and queer? Well, it's not because the kids became less woke, more religious, or more conservative. Apparently, those beliefs remained stable throughout the 2020s. Is it improved mental health? Yes, in part. Less anxious and especially depressed students is linked with smaller share identifying as trans, queer, or bisexual. But not entirely. Mental illness fell after the pandemic, but the sexuality and gender shifts happened at least a year later. All groups, including LGBT, got less mentally ill after the pandemic. The decline in anxiety and depression occurred within trans, bisexual, and queer groups as much as among others. So it wasn't the case that most of those who solved their emotional problems became heterosexual. The fall of trans and queer seems most similar to the fading of a fashion or trend. It happened largely independently of shifts in political beliefs and social media use, though improved mental health played a role. So what's the bigger picture here? Well, just like that, the trans bubble has burst, explained away by improved mental health. But the real question now is, where's the accountability for the politicians, doctors, educators, and left-wing activists who spent years pushing the sexualization and queering of America's youth for a sinister globalist agenda? There must be accountability, and the full report is linked there on that article as well. Apart from the accountability part, which I don't think we're going to get, this is a very, very good example of free speech. Let me explain. We were very, very silenced and heavily criticized for talking about the fact that it's actually not a good idea to mutilate children's genitals, and that this was a fad and this was a fashion trend and that it was going to pass. And you recall how many people were striked on social media or YouTube for talking about these things. But what happens in the end? Well, just like any trend that is not good for society or any issue stemming from potential mental health concerns, free speech eventually rises to the surface, and so does common sense and sanity. That is why things like this are so suppressed. Whenever something is not good for society, the only solution that these tech oligarchs and those in charge of everyone come to is we must suppress it so that we continue this destruction. This is another example of how, regardless of all of that censorship, regardless of the demonization of all of the people who were saying this does not make sense and this is unnatural and it's got to stop, despite all of the attacks on those people, they persisted, and common sense through free speech eventually rose to the surface. Society will always sort itself out. It will always weed out the terrible things within it if people are allowed to talk about them. So I, for one, see this as a huge victory, and I hope and believe that we'll continue to see these figures going down, more and more people having children, having natural families, and continuing to populate this earth. There are things that you can do to keep yourself fit, healthy, and protected in this world where it seems like attacks on our health come from all sides. Take charge of your health with the Energetic Health Institute, giving you the tools to lead a healthier, more balanced life, brought to you by Dr. Henry Ely and doctors just like him. True healers and physicians who are making people well successfully outside of Big Pharma. Visit myehialoha.org/#VFox and join their live conferences, virtual solutions summit, engaging Q&A sessions with their first-class, heart-centered professionals, and access all past event replays anytime, anywhere. You can also join the Healing for the Ages community, led by Drs. Brian Ardis, Ed Group, Henry Ely, and Jana Schmidt, and become part of a movement dedicated to building a healthier future.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that's a good thing that, it was referred to as the woke mind virus. I don't know why this became pushed so strongly, other than, there's that persistent rumor about Michelle Obama and Joan Rivers. Oh, everybody knows Michelle is a tranny. Huh? Everybody knows it's not a big deal. And she was dead within 2 months. Why was this pushed on everybody all at the same time? Was this organic, or was this part of a marketing campaign? And for what reason? Baphomet? You got to confuse the genders. It's a satanic thing. It's a, what are we even, what is it? I have a psychology degree. The Diagnostic Statistical Manual, the DSM, the DSM-3, the DSM-4. I don't know what we're on, the DSM-5. But gender dysphoria is it's a condition that people are working through when they believe something that is not true. You cannot become a man if you're a woman. You cannot become a woman if you're a man. And by the way, in a modern society, it's okay. Dress how you want. Live how you want. You do you. The fact that this has been weaponized is really disappointing. All the Democrats do is weaponize division. It's nonstop with them. All that normal Americans are saying is you don't get to punch women in the face if you're a dude, and you call it sports or competition. If in sports your chromosomes include a Y, if your chromosomes include a Y in sports, you must compete with guys. It's a great bumper sticker phrase to remember. I came up with it, I don't know, a while ago. If your chromosomes include a Y in sports, you must compete with guys. And also, if you're a dude, stay out of the ladies' restrooms. Just stop. Other than that, I mean, there's not a lot that people really care about how you want to live, how you want to present. Okay. Call me Susan. Hey, how are you? Can I help you? Just like you can go about your life, and everybody should have the chance to go about their lives. But the fact that this became so weaponized, in fact, they're calling Antifa Trantifa. And the uptick in violence, and it's been used as like the Gestapo. It's been used as the brown shirts. It's been used as the goon squad. It's been used as the, different phrases have been used for the violent groups that get the dirty work done. And where is all that coming from? How coordinated is that? So what ends? Speaking of coordination, how coordinated was the Russia hoax? Well, a ton. Kash Patel met with President Trump. Here's a question of the day. What was your biggest takeaway from Kash Patel and Donald Trump, President Trump having their meeting yesterday? Here's a clip from this. Here's President Trump.
We're very happy with the job we're doing. I'm very happy with the job they're doing. But when you tell me about attacking a political opponent, there's never been, and I'm a legitimate opponent. I watch my son. He's got the #1 best-selling book now. My son, Eric, is a wonderful kid. That guy spent so much time with subpoenas. He got more subpoenas than anybody in the history of our country. Think of it. And he's an innocent, good boy. He's a good kid. He's always been a good kid. All of my children are good. They went through hell. My children went through federal grand juries on a hoax. Think of it. You have Adam Schiff and Hillary Clinton and others make up a hoax, and then wanting to so they know it's a hoax, and they go before the press, say Donald Trump Jr. will go to jail because of what he's done with Russia. I'll never forget, I get a call from my son, Don, and he said, Dad, I'm being accused of something with Russia. I don't know anything about Russia. He didn't know anything about. Think of it, how bad they are. They say he'll go to prison for the rest of his life. He knew nothing about it. On a hoax, the Russian hoax, Russia hoax, on a story that they made up. And they made it up in order to explain why Hillary Clinton lost an election that she lost by pretty good numbers. The second one, actually the second one was even better, but the third one, this one was too big to rig. It was just too big to rig. They would have rigged. They tried to rig it. But think of it. They want to send my children to jail, but they were after Don in particular. I'll never forget Adam Shifty Schiff, a total crooked guy, lying in Congress, making up a phone conversation that I have with you, totally made up. Then when he heard it was taped, he wanted to disappear. And Nancy Pelosi went crazy because they wanted to impeach me based on the conversation that was made up. When they heard the tape, everybody, I won it unanimously in the Republican Party. I got every single vote, something that never happens, and I beat it. But think of it, they want to put my son in jail for something that they made up. So they know they made it up.
They were framing him to throw them in a cage, to kidnap and ruin their lives. No, there's no rehabilitation. There must be swift, severe punishment for this.
And they say he will serve the rest of his life in prison. These are sick, bad people. And don't tell me about us going after them. If anything, we've been very, very soft. I wouldn't be that soft, I'll tell you that. Thank you very much, everybody. Let's talk. So we're very happy with the job we're doing. I'm very happy.
John says, question of the day, we want the government gangsters you talk about in your book, Kashi. Go get them. Yeah, exactly. Sounds like they're going after everyone who's a criminal. It is about time. Well, I wish they'd hurry up, right? I like this lady, Patriotic Peach. She does these back and forth videos. They're kind of funny. It just really describes some of the absurdity of the bad arguments that you'll find online.
Okay, the government has been shut down since October 1st, but somehow WIC just got $300 million in funding. Yeah, the Trump administration used leftover tariff money to keep the program running. Wait, so tariff money? Like from international trade? Exactly, it's like recycling, but for government revenue. Wait, so the same tariffs people complained about are now feeding moms and babies? That's actually kind of poetic, right? WIC helps over 6 million moms, pregnant women get food for their families, essentials like fruits, vegetables, and formula. I heard some WIC offices were literally closing before that money came in. Yeah, Alaska said they were running out by Saturday. But thanks to Trump, they received $900,000 to stay open until November 8th. Well, maybe your side can get it together and stop being so stubborn so the government can run again. No, Democrats refused to pass the funding bills. Republicans passed a version to keep things going, but they wanted to reverse the Medicaid cuts and expand ACA subsidies instead. Look, you can complain about Trump all day, but when it comes to WIC, his team acted. Well, that's at least something we can agree on. Wait, we just agreed on something? Yeah, thanks to tariffs of all things. 2025 is wild. Okay, the government has been shut down since October 1st, but somehow WIC just got 300.
Yep. They're funding the troops. They're funding WIC. I love how this is happening.
You guys.
Here's a history lesson from Come Out Better. You know about 1913, right? Everybody knows about 1913, right?
You guys know that 1913 was the year we actually lost control of our country, right? Oh,
and yes, Mary in purple hair versus blonde hair is pretty awesome. It sums it up nicely.
Just for historical context, World War I started in 1914. I mean, look, I'm sure that was a coincidence, but let me just tell you all the things that were created in 1913. First, the Federal Reserve, which is neither federal nor has any reserves. It's basically a private bank that just controls all of our money. Second thing created in 1913 was the IRS. And I'm sure it's just a coincidence that it was created the exact same year that a private bank took over all of our money. Yeah, I'm sure it's a coincidence that that was the year they started taxing you. Like, you work, they print, and then you pay them back with interest. Yeah, that makes sense. The next thing created was the Rockefeller Foundation. Yeah, and let's be real, that was all about philanthropy. It's not like they took control of medicine, education, science, and basically the health of the world. I mean, let's be real. All they were doing was donating money. Yeah, it's not like they were buying control of everything. Oh, and that worked out so well, right? Because people are healthier and more self-sufficient than ever, right? Oh yeah, also in 1913 was the American Cancer Society. I mean, that sounds like a good thing, right? That can't possibly be bad. Except it was completely funded by extremely wealthy people. But even though it was a charity, they never really gave to anyone. No, they just took their money and invested in pharmaceutical drugs. Oh, and chemo. Yeah, instead of taking that money and investing in companies that were trying to find a cure, no, we'll just invest in companies that use chemicals from the military that were later banned. Yeah, that's a good thing to keep fucking putting into people. Then also created in 1913, the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, which sure, yeah, it's about civil rights. Yeah, totally. It's not about censoring people or, silencing critics. And then in 1914, we had World War I. And that became the first war ever that private industry profited from war. The private industry that's owned by the same families that created the Fed, the IRS, the Rockefeller Foundation, the American Cancer Society, the ADL. Again, just a coincidence. Oh, I'd also like to point out that a year prior to 1913, 1912, yeah, that was when the Titanic sank. And it's funny how three of the wealthiest individuals on that ship were the loudest voices opposed to central banking. Oh, and there's also the little tidbit that JP Morgan was supposed to be on that boat, but he canceled at the last second. But yeah, that's conspiracy. That's tinfoil hat talk. So what's happened since 1913? Well, the dollar has lost 99% of its value. Our debt has just become like a number that we ignore. Middle class getting fucked daily. War is now an industry instead of a conflict. Oh yeah, and your money isn't real anymore. Like, it's just not real. It's not backed by anything. It's just numbers on a paper that private bank prints. So guys, look, if you're worried about America being conquered or, a rebellion or it being taken over, you guys know that 1913 was the year we actually lost control of our country, right? Oh, and just for historical context, World War I started in 1914. I mean, look.
All right, it reset there. That was a nice little history lesson I think you need to know about. So this is Benny Johnson sharing Real America's Voice, and this is the guy, what's his name? John Solomon, Just the News here, discussing FBI Director Kash Patel.
Beyond those who are already
or indictments are coming. Well, don't talk about it, be about
charged. Do you think you've seen other crimes that might eventually get referred to justice?
Yes, we are looking at so many different leads on criminal activity.
I don't like that at all. That sounds like Pam Bondi. Yes, we are looking at so many. We're looking at so many leads. There's like so many leads. I can't even give you a couple. There's so many leads. There's like so many leads. Okay, Cash. Okay, there's like so many.
By those who are in
Is that an actual number? Is that a range? Well, the term "so many" in FBI terms refers to 20 or more, but less than 1,000. So many. Am I too harsh on Kash Patel?
Positions of power, and we're not.
I've been such a huge Kash Patel rooting for you. I'm rooting for you. What are you doing? Where are the indictments? There needs to be a raid with 1,000 people arrested at midnight the same exact night. Worldwide, go get them. Go get them. We know who the players are. Just do it. I'm very impatient. I don't want to trust a plan.
We're not going to stop until every single one of those is fully exposed. The documents are provided either to Congress or the courts of law, and make every referral we can into the Department of Justice. These indictments that you've seen and the ones that you're going to see coming up here in this near future are just the beginning. But I have to remind the audience.
Well, as long as it's coming up in this near future. I'm glad we narrowed down what we're talking about. This near future. Okay, good. So many leads in this near future. He said nothing. I know he said something, but he didn't say what you thought he said. You did not say what I think you said. You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. Inconceivable. That's for you, Kenneth. Question of the day. What was I just referencing there? Inconceivable. All right, back to cash. So many leads in this period of time. Okay, stop.
It's one thing. Everybody's like, it's 7 months. What have you guys been doing? Yeah.
It's been 7 months. What are you guys doing? They're going to try to blow up the world to save their hides. Go get them. They indicted Trump over fake shit. You can at least get the bad guys on real stuff that they really did, that we can prove they did.
Well, they spent 20 years building this disease temple of corruption. It takes a little bit of time to defeat it and beat it down. And I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm asking you to look at the work the men and women of the FBI have done so far in these.
It did take, no, it wasn't 20 years. It's a lot longer than that. But that's like the head coach and GM saying, well, you know, the Cleveland Browns have been bad. They've sniffed the playoffs a couple of times since 1999 when they returned. It's been, I mean, we've been bad. It's been the organization for 20 years, 25 years. They've been worse from that, but the 90s all the way back to 30 something years. They've been bad. They've just been bad. Yeah. You're here to make them better. Go. Yeah. We can't, like indict people because we got to wait. Huh? The most connected people who are terrified that they're going to be thrown in a cage because they've earned it through their own criminal actions. Yeah, okay.
7-8 months. And just imagine what we're going to do come the year end.
Trust. That's like the ultimate trust me, bro. This clip gives off the ultimate trust me, bro vibes. Where are the 1,000 corresponding simultaneous arrests, indictments at midnight? Go get the bad actors already. They are plotting while you dilly-dally. I told the director of the FBI that he dilly-dallies. Whoa! That's just so silly. I never thought I would say such a sentence. I just told the director of the FBI that he dilly-dallies. All right. And that this whole clip is giving off trust me, bro vibes. All right, here's more cash.
In just 7.
I don't think this is the same clip. It appears to be different angle, different timestamp. I think it's different.
Months.
And look, there have been very good things that have been happening, and you need to have press conferences to remind people of the good that you're doing. I agree. Here's some of it.
I hope the media takes a look at every one of these charts because these are the best numbers for fighting crime in U.S. history, and it's only 7 months in. And to do that, our vehicle to do it of choice was Operation Summer Heat, which the FBI architected to go after violent criminals. And in just a 3-month span, you had 8,700 arrests of violent criminals. You had 2,200 firearms seized off the streets permanently to safeguard our communities. You had 421 kilograms of fentanyl seized. Just to put that in perspective, that's enough to kill 55 million Americans alone. You had 45,000 kilograms of cocaine seized. And thanks to our Department of Justice partners, you had 2,100 indictments in 3 months from June to September alone. Mr. President, that in and of itself would be historic for a 4-year presidency. You did that in 7 months because you let good cops be cops, and you partnered us with the right people at the Department of Justice to put the handcuffs on and bring them to court and put them in prison. And if that weren't enough, when you look at the year, for the entire 7-month period that we're talking about here, if you look at the past 4 years of the Biden administration, 16,000, 17,000, 15,000, 15,000. That's the number of arrests year over year of violent felons in this country.
And by the way, they said, sir, take a look at this chart, this big, beautiful chart. They said, if I just turn my head ever so slightly here in the golden Oval Office, I could see that you've been doing a really good job. A really good job. This big, beautiful chart.
The Biden administration. Mr. President, in 7 months, you have 28,600 arrests of violent criminals in just 7 months alone because of your leadership and the dedication of the men and women at the FBI who who want to go out there and do the job they were prevented from doing because that department used to be weaponized and politicized. And this is what happens when you take out the fangs of weaponization. This number is historic by every metric. 28,000 people have been arrested, violent felons alone. And then when you go over there and look at some of these charts, if you don't mind, I'll just hop over here. Look at the metrics for not just violent crime, but the homeland. Mr. President, during your administration, the FBI has found and located 5,400 children.
Okay. 5,400 found children is good. It's not enough. But there were at least 5,400 children that just got human trafficked into the country for God knows what purpose. By who? Lord knows what hell some of these people are living through. I want them all identified. That is a win. They need to keep going, and they are going.
That is a 30% increase year to date over the last administration. Violent crimes against children arrests alone are up 10%. Gang arrests are up 210% in the last 7 months alone. And transnational organized crime, which Stephen Miller has been a great partner in, is up over 12% alone. These numbers are historic just as a snapshot. In just 7 months.
So good things are happening. I think that's what they were saying, is just hang tight. Let us go ahead and sweep these midterms, and we'll unleash. We just got to get these. Let's get through these midterms, bolster our ranks. Let's get a few more rulings in our favor. Let's get through one more election. We'll be stronger and ready to go. I get that. I get that. I had to grudgingly be like, I don't know, the big beautiful bill, I guess. If the Obama and the bad guys have had how many decades to rig the system and fund all the wrong things and defund all the right things? Okay. If you need funding to get things back on track the way they need to, all right, I guess. I know that's how we get here. We get here because everybody goes, oh, we got so much to fix. We need extra money to fix it. And you go, I don't know, I guess. I don't think we should be spending so much, but okay. All right, I get it. That's exactly how we end up in these situations. But that is how it plays out in the real world. And I know that President Trump needs to get some stuff organized. He's still making confirmations. I know we say it's been 7 months, but not all the puzzle pieces are in place. The border hasn't been built completely. We're still going through boxes. I know things move at the speed of government, which is slow as molasses, but still. We're impatient. We feel like, they're kicking the can down the road or something about Epstein. It used to be all about it. Now you're shutting up about it. Why are you shutting up about it? For what reason? It looked super sus that you were trying to change the subject in a way that looked like you were being puppeted. I didn't like how that felt. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, children found. That's most important. Well, and there's the other part of it too, that if you start piecemealing going after these rings, they're just going to off all these kids. If they're going to go down, they got to get rid of the evidence. And so when you do go, you need to go all at once, and you need to make sure you have all the pieces together that you can, because they're all dominoes touching each other. They're all going to implicate everybody else. Like, there's no escaping the demonic shit these bad guys have been up to. There's no escaping it. It's obviously connected. So yeah, you said children that are found are the most important. Like they said in Israel, like, well, all the people that are left, they're all guys. What happened to all the girls? Insinuating like they abused these girls and they shut them up. They ended their lives because, these abused torture victims, these girls, they can't tell their story if they can't talk. But I think the reality of that hostage release that Trump negotiated for phase 1 of the peace deal in Gaza, I think the realization is that most of the women had been part of earlier hostage negotiations to get women and children out of there first. That's typically a thing on the lifeboats or aid or, whatever it may be, hostage negotiation. Let's get the women and children first, which is super unfair to dudes, regular age dudes. But yeah, found children, super important. John says midterms, if we win. I mean, it should be a blowout, an absolute blowout. And especially if you redistrict a couple of places, because the Democrats have been gerrymandering everywhere. Republicans just haven't. I think they're all about ready to do it. And they're going to gain 19 seats, it looks like. We'll see how it shakes out. But the Democrats have been playing their little tricks and games for too long. They've gerrymandered their way into like a whole mess of problems. They've lied on top of lies on top of lies. They don't have policy that stands up to scrutiny. It's not an endorsement of the Republican Party. It's just to say the Democrats are really backpedaling now that people recognize them for who they are and the policies that they've been putting in there. So I'll give Kash Patel a little bit of leeway here. I do get it. It's just frustrating. You wish they could snap their fingers and just do it. And I still do want that. Delay it, drag it out until you need to get some more stuff in place. Well, arrest them now and then put the rest in place later. I know you only get one chance to do this. You got to do it right. I get it. I get it. But come on, man. Need a little bit more specifics. Of course they will lie and cheat and steal to win. That's the name of the game, John. Name of the game indeed. By the way, everybody, hit like, hit subscribe, share the show to a couple of your friends, tweet it out on X if you'd be so kind. And a quick reminder, we do have Rumble rants and what is it called? The YouTube was a chat, super chats. If anybody wants to toss a coin into the wishing well. All right, this guy here, what is this? Mike Simak. I'm not even following, but I'll toss a follow. It says, be careful what you say online. The FBI may Shakespeare. The FBI may say that Shakespeare offed you. Huh?
Ask a question. Is the media totally presenting the truth when it comes to Israel? Just a question, that maybe we shouldn't believe everything the media says, because I know I've been conditioned to ask a lot more critical questions over the last couple of years. So, Ben, some people would accuse Israel of wanting to ethnically cleanse. Some people in the Israeli government are saying, again, it's all over the place, right? You have opinions all over.
When a lawmaker like Ted Cruz uses the Bible to justify aid to Israel, doesn't even know the verse, do you guys think that's like not the best way to approach this? Raise your hand. Okay.
I think Ted Cruz used Genesis 12:3. I think a lot of people see that as off-putting when you look at the New Testament.
Why?
Because I think a lot of people, they look especially at the writings of Paul, where he talks about how the new flesh is not the same as the people in the Old Covenant. The new flesh is everybody, is everyone's included.
Talking about Romans 9.
Yes, 9:6, yeah.
Are you Catholic?
Converting to Catholic from
Judaism.
I can tell.
This is my next.
Oh, from Judaism?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So you're you're ethnically Jewish.
Ethnically Jewish, yes.
And you have concerns about AIPAC.
Yes, I do.
I'm told that by some people,
American Israeli Political Action Committee,
that if I criticize AIPAC, I'm anti-Semitic.
So sick of the slurs. You're a phobiist. You're a exist. You're a anti-Semiticist. So tired of just the lazy slurs. And it's been effective because the wimpy whites like, I don't want to be called a bad name. No, I'll go along with it. Okay, no, don't point fingers and be mean to me. It's like they're being mean to you by what they're doing. You got to stand up for yourself. You're being lied about. Don't stand there and take that. Don't take that. Don't take that from them. Don't take that from anyone. Thank you very much. That's how I see it.
I think it's ridiculous. Yeah. I feel like it's great to have a concern for your country.
Is that Epstein, with his little friend Ghislaine and Ghislaine's father, Robert Maxwell,
who crafted our school books, maybe,
who is obviously a spy of the Israeli intelligence agencies, but there was something else going on here. Epstein was not some sort of whiz kid hedge fund manager. Epstein was playing a part. Epstein was a LARPer. Epstein was cast for a specific role, and he played it really well. For example, if I have less ability sometimes online to criticize the Israeli government about backlash than actual Israelis do. Mm-hmm. And that's really, really weird, isn't it, Megan? That's not right. On some part of the...
By the way, let me say this. Grok is saying, no, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, a British media tycoon who died in 91, did not create U.S. textbooks. He had a brief business connection to one major textbook publisher through a 1989 joint venture between his company Macmillan Inc. and McGraw-Hill. which combined their elementary, secondary, and vocational education divisions into Macmillan McGraw-Hill School Publishing Company. This entity became the second largest U.S. textbook publisher at the time, with $440 million in annual sales and materials used in many schools. However, McGraw-Hill gained sole ownership of the venture in 1993, 2 years after Maxwell's death. Okay, so wait a minute. A brief business connection to one major textbook, 89 to 91, and then in 93, they bought it out after he passed. Maxwell was not involved in the editorial or creative process for the content, according to USA Today. I don't know if I believe that. Claims that he owns or controls McGraw-Hill or that it supplies all U.S. schools. Okay, well, that's not... McGraw-Hill's materials used in about 92% of U.S. school districts today. But the company is independently American-owned with no Maxwell involvement. Say that's a lot of slant to deflect the Maxwell influence and connection. Yeah, I find myself correcting AI quite a bit. Do you find yourself correcting AI? Talking to AI? You know, in a way, we're talking to ourselves. And in a way, we're talking to no one. That's weird, isn't it? We're both talking to ourselves and talking to no one when interacting with AI. That's so weird.
Population, you can scold them into silence, right?
That's exactly what I was saying, scolding them into silence. The wimpy whites who keep going to extra schooling and they're so people-pleasing, teacher-pleasing, they'll regurgitate any old bullshit that rolls out of their mouths because they want the good grade, right? They want the approval, the social standing at these Marxist indoctrination centers.
But
wimpy whites.
If I have...
The white liberal woman, I mean... Malcolm X talked about the white liberal being one of the biggest threats to America. And that's what most of the people on the MAGA side of things will say. It's the white liberal woman with these policies. You look at the worst police chiefs across the country, the ones that are running these cities into the ground. You look at the people in our federal government, in the teachers' unions, in media that are pushing the most ridiculous ideas. Yeah, bullied into silence.
Any deviation of a purity test, any deviation whatsoever.
Any deviation from regurgitating exactly what the professor wants you to say, it doesn't compute to some people, but men stand up to this. Of course, some women do too. But you've seen a seemingly higher percentage because the Democrat Party is the party of females at this point. It's taken weak masculine energy, the legs crossed and the policies that don't protect the citizens, and the female energy on the left. Look at the breakdown of the demographics between MAGA and the Democrat Party. The Democratic Party is something different now. And I've looked at data showing 19% approval rating. I think that number is still too high, and I've never believed we're a 51-49 country. Oh, it's so razor close. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. Never believed it. Fix our voting and watch what happens. That's my hunch.
Such as hosting a focus group, right, Megan? With a bunch of our students that went viral, having Dave Smith or Tucker at my event. It is all of a sudden, oh, Charlie is he's no longer with us and all that. I said, wait a second, what do you mean? What does with us mean exactly, right?
With us. Nobody's entitled to us being with anyone. I don't have to watch the Toronto Blue Jays play the Seattle Mariners, and I don't have to be with either team. I don't need to be in favor of one team over another. I don't need to like with us or against us. You're a team that's not my team. What do I care? I don't need to root for you to lose or root for you to win.
I'm an American, okay? Like, I represent this country, and I don't even understand that paradigm. But Megan, right? Megan, it would be one thing if it was one text or two texts. It is dozens of texts.
Yes.
Then we start to say, hold the boat here. And to be, if Bibi Netanyahu, if he does something I don't like, and if I criticize it, am I like a bad Christian?
Absolutely not.
What I find strange is that to be pro-Israel means
music playing in the background. What does to be pro-Israel mean?
you believe in the nation of Israel, not necessarily the government of Israel.
There you go. Charlie Kirk, everybody. Charlie Kirk. All right, let's take a look at our X feed here. Please make sure you're following us at American_media_. Hit like, hit subscribe, share the show. Super chats, rumble rants out there. All right. Pinned to the top of our X feed is our interview with John B. Wells from Caravan to Midnight discussing God, Trump, Biden, Deep State, World War III, and more. And that's our link right there to our Patreon page if someone wants to sign up to be a monthly supporter, a regular monthly supporter. The several of you that have, I appreciate each and every one of you. If we could double that number, that would help immensely. If we could triple that, that would help immensely. If we could quadruple that, that would help immensely. So thank you to the people that I have never met who are subscribers. Thank you to the people that we know, some of the regulars here at this wonderful bar that you find yourself sitting at. And thank you to the ones that we know for everything you do on a consistent basis. Thank you, sincerely. All right, so what is this? Unlimited L's, just in. Let's take a listen. Can we hear this? How loud is the volume?
Body on camera statement made.
All right, Unlimited L says, just in, this career criminal, level 3 S offender, wanted for 2 armed robberies, is accused of torturing and ending an elderly couple in their Queens home, and he pleads not guilty. The quote is, I K'd them, I burnt those blanks, don't matter to me, though. Investigators say James McGriff, 42, went door to door asking to charge his phone. He pushed his way into the home of 76-year-old Frank Olton and 77-year-old Maureen Olton. He tied up Mr. Olton in the basement. He stabbed him and tried to set him on fire. Dude. He then tied up Maureen Olton and strangled her to death. Officials say he set the house on fire after spending 5 hours inside. He was arrested in Times Square September 10. Police describe him as a career criminal and a level 3 S offender with a 30-year criminal record. Jamel McGriff. First-degree murder, second-degree murder, kidnapping, arson, burglary. He's also wanted for 2 armed robberies earlier this summer. He's charged in a 50-count indictment with first and second-degree M, kidnapping, arson, burglary, and other offenses related to the September 8th home invasion and execution. Remanded into custody, ordered to return to court on November 12th. Why are they letting people? Yes, the comments. Someone explain to me what's the point of keeping someone like this alive? There's no rehabilitation. Why pay for him to continue to breathe even one more breath? Unlimited L says the government and our society are too soft to deal with people like this the way they deserve. Not the B says sounds like the type of dude a Democrat judge would love to release early. Yeah, they love their precious criminals. Elon shared this with a simple wow. You saw those 2 elderly people that were tortured and executed. Discussing Film says the trailer for The Age of Disclosure has been released. This documentary will reportedly reveal an 80-year global cover-up of non-human intelligent life with testimony from members of government and intelligence communities. Releasing November 21 on Prime Video. Let me play you a minute of this. I hope it's not too music-heavy, so it'll block it. And I've once again had problems with this. I tried to share someone's documentary or their movie so that you could get a taste for it and go watch it and support the project, and then you got dinged for a copyright claim that I appealed, and they said, nope, you lost your appeal. I'm like, I'm using fair use. I can't talk about the movie until I show you what the movie is. They released a trailer. I'm showing you the trailer, which is free advertising. I'm not trying to steal your copywritten product. I'm trying to promote it, you stupid people. But I digress. I'll play you a little bit. The age of disclosure could change the world.
We've had repeated instances of something operating in the airspace over restricted nuclear facilities, and it's not ours.
That was Secretary of State Marco Rubio. That's legit.
And it's not ours.
These are otherworldly things that are performing maneuvers that haven't been seen.
So we don't know what this stuff is. I don't know who that second guy is. Do you know who that guy is? The second person that was just interviewed there?
There's a whole fleet of them.
On November 21st.
With my own eyes, non-human craft and non-human beings.
Non-human craft, non-human beings. That sounds promising. Once in a generation cultural flashpoint.
Secret. There have been very few people in our entire government that have been allowed or provided access to it.
I mean, but isn't this the whole purpose of like, where are we? What are we doing here? Who's in charge? What's the point of this? Who's pulling the puppet strings? Don't we need to know all this stuff?
Even president.
Or, you know, you're not allowed to eat the apple of knowledge. Let us have our beings from the heavens descending in chariots of fire from the sky. Okay.
Even presidents have been operating on a need-to-know basis.
Presidents on a need-to-know basis. Yeah, this president needs to know.
But that begins to ramp out of control.
Because the gatekeepers become the real leaders, the real shadow government.
It's not acceptable to have secret parts of government that no one ever sees.
And that's the way that it's been for a really long time. That scene from Independence Day. President goes into that subterranean bunker and it's all these craft. He goes, wait a minute. If you guys are doing this, where's the budget for this? Wouldn't this be, why wouldn't I know about this? We'd have to at least fund it. He goes, sir, you don't think we're really spending $4,000 on a toilet seat, are you? Do you? It's like all these rampant budget expenditures. They're money laundering the programs that they're really working on. They can't tell you what they are. They're fully funded. It's just not exactly coming from where you thought it might be originating from. There's a difference.
People have been hurt protecting and hiding this information.
That's Anna Paulina Luna. She's involved with the disclosure. This is happening. Something's happening. People have, well, let's hear it again.
Hurt protecting and hiding this information.
Protecting and hiding this information has gotten people hurt.
Some people claim it would cost them their lives if they spoke out about these things.
Some people claim. Don't you mean it's been proven?
You had information being locked away that could change the trajectory for.
And who is that? Schellenberger, Mr. Gold, Mr. Elizondo, Dr. Galude.
Trajectory for species.
Too much music. Trying to break it up because if the music is too continuous, they're going to say, oh, you have a copyright. I'm like, no, I'm trying to comment on a disclosure project, and it just happens to have irrelevant music in the background. Okay. Do I have to mute it? Promises to disrupt years of secrecy. Bone chilling. Groundbreaking.
The biggest discovery. This is the biggest discovery in human history.
Okay, the age of disclosure. Well, they're definitely selling it, aren't they? Is that what's happening? Are we getting an alien craft coming in 50, 40-something days? Let's ask Grok. Many days before the fake comet full of aliens arrives. Alien technology or a probe. It's not a natural comet. 30 to 40% chance of artificial origins. Conspiracy circle. 3-Eye Atlas, a real comet. Discovered May of 25. Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb fueled much of this by suggesting in a July 25 paper and blog post that its unusual trajectory and lack of typical gaseous tail could indicate it's not a natural comet, a possible alien technology or a probe. All right, they're overwhelmingly classifying 3I Atlas as a natural comet, icy body from another star system, about 12 miles wide, 37 miles a second. Observations from Hubble, Gemini South, Mars rovers show it developing a comma, gaseous halo, and tail as it nears the sun. Classic comet behavior. No evidence of artificial signals, propulsion, or aliens has been found. Loeb himself admits the natural explanation is by far the most likely. Fact checks dismiss invasion rumors as baseless misinformation. Closest to Earth will be November 2025. November 21 through 25. 36 to 39 days from now. Let me put a tweet out with that info. Let's do a poll. 3I Atlas. Here we go. When 3I Atlas is closest to Earth on November 21. No, wait a minute. When is this disclosure? When is this movie? Hold on. Yeah, the movie's out on November 21. Do you catch that? Okay. I'm going to say in just 36 to 39 days from now. Will alien disclosure occur? Yes, alien disclosure. No. No aliens. Duh. We'll make that a 7-day poll. Please go vote in this poll. But they're going to release the movie when it's closest to Earth. Is that a coincidence? David Bann has heard that Space Force supposedly is almost finished assembling an aircraft carrier in the ionosphere. Where is the ionosphere specifically? Ionosphere. David saying, are the aliens also known as demons or what the elite talk to? John has a gaseous tail. Oh, okay. That's a Kenneth joke right there. The gatekeepers will become the story and the supposed truth. Who made the documentary? Yeah, I don't know. Age of Disclosure, worldwide. It's on Prime Video, Amazon Prime. That's all I know about it. It can launch attacks from the ionosphere. Does that mean just floating up where the satellites are? Is that out of Earth's orbits? Like what exactly defines the ionosphere? Where is the ionosphere? Like satellite range, like up at a space station, or... Anyway, let's take a listen over here. This is the audio from Justice. You got to hear it to believe that you'd hear something so stupid. Common sense says, Dear Katanji Jackson, Dear Justice Katanji Brown, WTF, I'm black. Being black does not make me disabled. I don't want to be lumped with the disabled because I'm black. Do not speak for me with yo, dumbass. Love, common sense. Let's take a listen to her in her own words, because you might not actually believe that something so dumb could be uttered by somebody in the Supreme Court. But this is what the Democrats put up there. They put activists up there to constantly put the most terrible policy positions front and center to represent the Democrat Party, which is why nobody likes them or votes for them. It's why they're going to get blown out in the midterms. It's why Kamala got blown out. It's why the next president, Democrat nominee, is going to get blown out. The party is just completely lost, offensive to common sense logic. Let's listen.
I guess I'm thinking of it, of the fact that
not just thinking of it, she's thinking of a fact. Let me tell you. And by the way, I just noticed what strikes me, because I played a clip of her yesterday, I believe. What strikes me is how she's not asking questions. She's telling you and scolding you. And I guess maybe that happens on both sides, and maybe that happens a lot. But I'm not hearing someone who's curious. Well, let me ask you, what would you say about this type of thing? Or what would you say to the people who claim this is actually doing the opposite? She's telling you for a fact a whole bunch of stuff, and you're going to listen. It's very scolding. It's very school mommy, marmy. It's marm, M-A-R-M, right? I don't know. It's very manipulative. I don't like it. And maybe they all do it, but I don't like how she's doing it.
I guess I'm thinking of it, of the fact that...
No, she's not just thinking of it. She's thinking of the fact. I have facts. I don't know what you have, but I have facts. That's what I'm doing. I have facts. The way she launches into that word.
I'm thinking of it, of the fact that remedial action, absent discriminatory intent, is really not a new idea in the civil rights laws. And my kind of paradigmatic example of this is something like the ADA. Congress passed the Americans with Disabilities Act against the backdrop of a world that was generally not accessible to people with disabilities. And so it was discriminatory in effect because these folks were not able to access these buildings. And it didn't matter whether the person who built the building or the person who owned the building intended for them to be exclusionary. That's irrelevant. Congress said the facilities have to be made equally open to people with disabilities if readily possible.
Disability, if readily possible. A disability.
I guess I don't understand why that's not what's happening here. The idea...
Because having darker skin doesn't make you disabled. Stop teaching people this poisonous ideology. It's the most racist thing you can imagine. Everybody's capable. Raise your expectations. There's no disability because of the skin tone. Get out of here.
In Section 2 is that we are responding to current day manifestations of past and present decisions that disadvantage minorities and make it so that they don't have equal access to the voting.
You have equal access to everything. You have equal access to voting.
System, right? They're
no, not right. Right? No, wrong.
System, right?
No, wrong.
I guess.
Sorry, I clipped her off there.
Disadvantage minorities and make it so that they don't have equal access to the voting system, right? They're disabled. In fact, we use the word disable in Milligan. We say that's a way in which you see that these processes are not equally open.
Crazy. Michael's Turtle says, I love how
I'm thinking.
Didn't press that. Bro, I love how you began daintily with dear and then escalate to WTF. Dear Justice Katanji Brown. Clarence Thomas gently explains to KBJ that not all black people are mentally disabled, just her. I don't know how to say this best, Ketanji, but not all black people are mentally disabled. It's just you, said Thomas. You having an exceptionally low IQ has absolutely nothing to do with your skin color, Ketanji. You're just an idiot. I know this is hard for you to understand. I mean, of course it is. You're mentally handicapped. The Babylon Bee nailed it with this one after today's SCOTUS oral arguments. Satire saying what most of us are thinking. What's up, that one, Joe? Please hit like, please hit subscribe. Rumble rants and super chats are available out there if you're enjoying the program. You're saying, what does Grok have to say about the Van Allen radiation belt? Technically out of orbit. It's below the Van Allen radiation belt. So that's where the ionosphere is what you're saying where Space Force has their aircraft up there. Yeah, that one, Joe says the left is fascist AF. Fascist AF. Uh-huh. All right, what's this one? 75% of Americans are reporting soaring prices as Trump claims inflation is over. Well, that's not good. Are you noticing inflation? I'm noticing inflation. The price of food has to come way down. The price of the purchase power of our dollar needs to be drastically increased. I know we're living in this perpetual inflationary thing, but bring up the purchase power of our dollar. Everything is not fine. Washington Ghost says that judges need to start getting arrested. So here's Jacoby Tillman, and Wokeness reports this. He tried violently graping a girl in a park. He has a long, violent record. He was freed again on $9,500 bail.
Sir, I want you to listen up. Yes, ma'am. You got an atrocious record. Right. These charges are violent in nature.
Despite his criminal history, Jacoby Tillman was granted a $9,500 bond and released from jail this weekend.
No, you don't let crazy, violent people out. You keep them in. Rebecca Mr. Again says, what happened to protecting society? Norwegian journalist. What happened to punishment as deterrence? Women's lives in America are apparently worth just as little as women's lives under Islam, she says.
He's accused of trying to rape a woman on the Little Econ Greenway Trail this summer. The Orange County Sheriff's Office released this surveillance video shortly after the attack in July. Tillman was just arrested this month on charges of attempted sexual battery, strangulation, and false imprisonment.
There's no place in society for someone that's going to do something like that. You didn't have one too many and make a decision that impacted your life and you wish you could take that back, and it was just like, you don't have a bad day, you don't make a bad decision. I don't know, I didn't have dinner that day, it hit me, I was on an empty stomach, I don't know, things escalated, we were all fired up, we all said some things we did. Like, you can talk away a lot of things and go, I've seen people that I care about act certain ways, and that's not normally like them. And you can forgive some of that. You can't forgive someone that preys upon kids and violently attacks them. That's somebody who's missing the screws. The screws are loose to the point where you can't let that damaged, violent pit bull back out into society. You got to put them down. If that person could get out and harm another innocent person, it's not worth the risk. You keep them in jail forever, or you put them down. It's what you do to rabid animals, and that's how you treat anyone that attacks kids. John says, howdy to the Joe I do not see. You don't see Joe? I think I see Joe. Is there a Joe? It's just crazy.
What bothers the court in setting bond in this case is that he's got some violent offenses and a violent history, and these are violent offenses. But nonetheless, I think that the bonds is set.
We've been looking into Tillman's record, too, and found out he was also arrested after grabbing a woman in the same area 3 years ago.
Sir.
Spitfire says judges who release these criminals should be held accountable for their crimes. Yeah. Abhishek Singh says, truth of judiciary due to which everyone is suffering. Says up here, Democrats look at the violent felon going, everyone deserves a second chance or a 14th chance. I'm released. Yeah, everybody deserves a chance except the victim. In this case, Irina Zarutska, the crime of being white in the proximity of a madman, a racist black man. Be victim of a violent racial assault. 14 times arrested. How many times arrested? 30 times arrested. It's just, you keep replaying these terrible data points, show after show, day after day. It's brutal. And there's no need for it. Raw Egg Nationalist says, increasingly, I think judges should be held responsible when they let violent criminals out on bail. If the criminal goes on to commit another crime, which is likely, the judge should face a severe penalty. Do it enough times and you lose your standing as a judge, 100%. End Wokeness is reporting this is the judge who freed him. Her name is Elaine Barber, 9th Circuit, Florida. Not sure if that's true. Do your own research and stay peaceful. But if you're unhappy with the types of judges who are letting violent monsters out into general society, they should be contacted and we should voice our displeasure and ask that they're removed from their position. Recalled immediately. Mike Davis says Crossfire Hurricane is the biggest scandal in U.S. history. Obama, Biden, Hillary, and many others politicized and weaponized intelligence agencies and law enforcement to take out Trump. This is ongoing criminal conspiracy. Justice is definitely coming. Thank you, Maria Bartiromo. Here you go. Let's take a listen to this segment. It better be coming.
$1,000. Joining me now with more on all of this is Matt Taibbi. He is editor-in-chief of Racket News, and
Hi,
Mike Davis. He is president of
Hello,
the
Mike.
Article 3 Project. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. Let me first get your reaction to all of this. Matt Taibbi.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Comey case, especially with the Crossfire Hurricane investigation, all the Crossfire investigations, I thought at the time those should have been enormous Watergate-level stories because it was about surveillance of a major party presidential candidate. Now, I think in conjunction with Arctic frost, you have all these senators who are finally seeing that domestic political surveillance has been a major unreported problem in this country for a long time.
Wow. Well, yeah, we just spoke with a senator who was really affected. Bill Hagerty was tracked, and he said it happened to him 3 times. Mike, is all of this connected? We've been covering, obviously, the Russia collusion lie for a decade, and my viewers are well aware that it was fake from day one. But do you think this is all connected, and is this enough to create a conspiracy charge against Jim Comey and his friends who were part of that cabal?
Yeah, those indictments we just saw for Comey and Tish James are the appetizer indictments. And the big one, the main course, is going to be the conspiracy against rights under 18 U.S.C. Section 241. I've publicly called for this for the last 3+ years since the Mar-a-Lago raid. Remember this with the Russian collusion hoax. The Democrats made this up to help Hillary Clinton's campaign, to cover up her corruption, and to take out presidential candidate Donald Trump. They failed. President Trump went into office, and so they tried to destroy him while he was in office, and they tried to destroy him with the lawfare because he declassified Crossfire Hurricane before he left office the first time.
And you believe that the Mar-a-Lago raid was also part of it. They were actually looking for the assessment of Russia's influence campaign targeting the 2016 presidential election. It was declassified. I have it right here. Do you believe that's what they were looking for?
1,000%. And those people who did this raid, like Jay Bratz and others, they did this to cover up their own corruption. This is the biggest scandal in American history. They politicized and weaponized intel agencies and law enforcement to take out their political enemy. This is third world stuff. And I would say to these lawfare Democrats, justice is definitely coming.
Matt, this is all pretty extraordinary.
It is, but again, I think we're now finally seeing the proper perspective on it. I agree with Mr. Davis. This is an enormous story. It should have been an enormous story at the time. It's just that we're finally realizing how serious it was to conduct surveillance of these people and to, manufacture intelligence, against a domestic political enemy.
I want to get your take on who you think is next to face indictment. Stay with us. Mike Davis and Matt Taibbi. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm with Matt Taibbi as well as Mike Davis. And I want to get your take on who you believe is next in terms of indictments to come. Matt Taibbi, what do you think?
Well, I think some of the releases that came out of the Director of National Intelligence's office earlier this year from Tulsi Gabbard and from the DOJ point to some of those former intelligence chiefs like John Brennan, James Clapper. For instance, I was also told repeatedly that Hillary Clinton was a target of some of these investigations Although nobody could tell me exactly what crime she was being investigated for, but that she was a target. So I think you should look at the Russiagate actors who are in those documents, and then probably also, some of the other executive branch folks.
Mike, how far up the chain does this go?
I think it goes all the way up to the top, to President Obama, to Vice President Biden, to Hillary Clinton, Comey, Brennan, Clapper, so many players within the Obama and Biden administration. And I think it also includes the lawfare Democrats, these prosecutors who coordinated with the Biden White House to bring these indictments against President Trump.
And there's also a grand jury being prepared right now, right?
There is a new grand jury in Fort Pierce, Florida, and that would be a good place to do this grand jury investigation for what they did to President Trump. The Mar-a-Lago reads the hook.
And so the interesting part about this is they've rigged the justice system, the judicial system. Question of the day, do you know what that's from? The judicial system. Hint, it was Saturday Night Live. Who was the actor? And who were they impersonating? The judicial system. But the interesting thing is they're like, oh, well, we can get away with impunity. We can do whatever we want. We're here in Washington, D.C. It's so liberal. It's like 96% left-wing Marxist, deep state, New World Order. Nobody can touch us here. Yeah, well, you fucked around with President Trump in Florida. Florida doesn't put up with that stuff the same. I know that previous judge that we just showed you the case of let him out on $9,500 bail, and he shouldn't have. But Florida doesn't typically take kind to people doing what it is that you've been doing. So it's going to be interesting to follow. Let's just see that. It's going to be interesting to see. Obama, Biden, Hillary, many others. Yep. Gee, wonder why crime never gets solved. The teens who jumped ex-Doge staffer Edward Big Balls Corristine avoid jail, and they're only sentenced to probation. That's bullshit. You don't get to bloody somebody like that and just get probation. There need to be penalties for that. You got to serve some time if you're going to rock somebody like that. Daily Mail reporting that a China migrant sexually assaulted a teenage girl with special needs in broad daylight. Only jailed for 14 months. Shouldn't that person be hung? Firing squad? Shouldn't there be a corporal punishment for abusing a special needs teenage girl? Shouldn't you be instantly executed for harming a child, especially a special needs child? 14 months? That's insane. Connor Tomlinson says, just being clear, you don't see this as a problem? Fake refugee crosses the channel, sexually assaults a 19-year-old with special needs on her way to the food bank for her mom. And this guy gets no prison time because he's held on remand. That was counted for his sentence. Not a problem? Or are you just lying about preventable atrocities befalling Britain's women and girls? AOC with some of the grossest rhetoric you'll ever hear.
And they are able to radicalize and target and exploit a generation of young boys in particular.
What are you talking about? People that are not going to be lectured by someone like you? Some goofy, cross-eyed socialist bartender?
Away from healthy masculinity.
I'm sorry, I don't need to be scolded about what healthy masculinity is from someone like AOC. No, thank you.
And into an insecure masculinity that requires the domination of others.
See, AOC prefers dominating the masculine part of society. We've been living through that nightmare for 30 years. Because men typically stand up to having their country steamrolled, having their rights and freedoms and common sense society being steamrolled. Target the men, silence the men, shut up the men. Look at what they're doing in the UK, jailing the men. Nah, I don't want to take a lecture from you.
Who are poorer, browner, darker, or
poorer, browner, and darker. What?
Requires the domination of others who are poorer, browner, darker, or
browner and darker is the same thing, by the way.
poorer, browner, darker, or a different gender than them.
Or a different gender? No. That's, what do you...
And that is why they are resonating online, because they are appealing to the most basest.
I'm sorry, the what? The most basest? That doesn't...
And to the most basest and worst parts of human nature to divide us.
To divide us, yeah. Come from Barack Obama's party of division. She's so gross with this fake rhetoric. Republicans are radicalizing and exploiting young boys, pushing them toward a masculinity that requires the domination of others who are poorer, browner, darker, or a different gender. You're so gross, AOC. Stop lying and stop defaming us. Molly Hemingway reports, here's a statement on the Department of War media access guidelines from the Federalist CEO Sean Davis and editor-in-chief Molly Hemingway. When other credentialed outlets and journalists spread lies about the Russia collusion hoax or the Covington kids hoax or the Kavanaugh rape hoax or the Ukraine impeachment hoax or the COVID-19 natural origin hoax or the peaceful BLM riots hoax or the suckers and losers hoax or the Hunter Biden laptop hoax or the Biden's brain is totally fine, you guys hoax, the Federalist fearlessly reported the truth. Corrupt corporate journalists published lies and regurgitated regime propaganda and were given awards. We published facts and the truth, and the U.S. federal government responded by waging a global war of illegal censorship against the Federalist. They profited from lies while we were punished for reporting the truth. Where were these self-styled First Amendment defenders when we were illegally censored and targeted for debunking deep state lies and hoaxes? Many of them not only refused to defend us, but cheered the illegal censorship efforts against us. NBC News, for example, colluded with big tech to demonize and deplatform us for criticizing the government and the corrupt corporate news media. So you'll have to forgive our skepticism of corporate media's ostensible new love of press freedoms in the First Amendment. We actually read through the new Department of War media access guidelines, and we found zero new restrictions on the ability of journalists to report on or criticize the government. Many corporate journalists eager to grandstand will claim otherwise without evidence, but we will show you what the actual document says. Nothing in this document requires you to waive any constitutional rights. This, in brief, constitutes a description of Department of War policies. Members of the news media are not required to submit their writings to the Department of War for approval. This, in brief, and the appendices address Department of War policy and the potential bases for such a determination and do not prohibit you as a credential holder from engaging in constitutionally protected journalistic activities such as investigating, reporting, or publishing stories. My signature represents my acknowledgement and understanding of such Department of War policies and procedures. Even if I do not necessarily agree with such policies and procedures, signing this acknowledgement does not waive any rights I may have under the law. Those are the actual facts. And as usually is the case, we are likely the first outlet to report them. We look forward to eagerly covering the Pentagon, both on-site and from a distance, with the same fearlessness and courage and devotion to the truth that we've exhibited since we were created. If the new guidelines result in fewer professional con artists and media hoaxers roaming the halls looking for new lies to peddle, so be it. That from Molly Hemingway and CEO Sean Davis of the Federalist. Editor-in-Chief Molly Hemingway. Here's John Fetterman blowing up the Democrats' shutdown narrative.
That's why shutting the government is really what the Democratic Party wants to do. And I follow country, then party. And
who knew that Fetterman would be the one guy on the Democrat side that makes a little bit of sense sometimes? Talking with Bill O'Reilly here. Was this News Nation?
It's the wrong thing for the country in a period of chaos. I refuse to vote to shut our government down. I absolutely would love to have... I would love to have a conversation about extending the tax credits for health care. Absolutely. But I would remind everybody, too, this was designed by the Democratic Party to expire at the end of the year. This is not something taken by the Republicans. They were designed to expire. Now let's have a conversation to extend it and not shut our government down. That's why.
There you go. He's saying what everybody else is realizing. What is this here? Border chaos, NHS collapse, housing crisis, knife crime, pin it all on billionaires, capitalism, or the weather, anything except the political class in Britain that's been ruining their country and running it into the ground. Red Lip Riot says, so now it's Elon's fault that Britain's broken? Jeez, they'll blame anyone but themselves. You don't have to like Musk or Robinson to see the pattern. Free speech bad, swamp infallible, public dissent dangerous. That's not democracy. That's control disguised as virtue. Britain's problems weren't caused by billionaires. They were caused by cowardly politicians. And until we admit that, nothing changes. This is what we're building together. I'm here every day because you make it possible. Okay. Yep. FBI found 5,400 children, a 30% increase year over year from the previous administration. That's good. Clarence Thomas gently explains to KBJ that not all black people are mentally disabled. I can't believe Corinne Jean-Pierre, what's her name? Katanji Brown Jackson. I can't believe she would say such a thing, comparing black people to being disabled. That is so, it's shocking to hear someone say that, let alone someone who is, or at least they present as black. They are black, right? I would never. What would it take for me to say that white people are disabled because of our color, the color of our skin? Not disabled. We got every opportunity anybody else has. Now that in fact hasn't been the case with all the discrimination against white people over the years. The blatant racism that's been happening as a matter of course. Maybe it was course correction or course overcorrection. But of course, at this point in 2025, where we all have equal rights, you can't be discriminating based on the junk you're swinging between your legs or on your chest, or the melanin content in your skin, or which flying spaghetti monster in the sky you personally decide to pray to. David says it's all lies on the mainstream media side, except we don't call them mainstream media. David, what do we call them? Please type it in the comments. David or somebody else who can type it first. We never say the term mainstream media because there's nothing mainstream about them. I ask, what do we call what you called mainstream media? We call them what? Does anyone know? Do I say it often enough for you to type it real quick in the comments section? John Brenneman says, WTF, AOC, IKR, WTH. Sacramento Sheriff says stolen election mail has been recovered at a homeless camp. East POP deputies in the area of Elder Creek Road and Mayhew Road to address a homeless encampment previously posted for cleanup. During the abatement, deputies located approximately 100 voting ballots and other election-related materials scattered along large amounts of mail. Deputies collected all the mail, secured the ballots and election mail separately, then immediately returned them to the Sacramento County Department of Voter Registration and Elections for proper handling. The camp was vacant when deputies arrived, and no arrests have been made as of this posting. The investigation is ongoing, and if you have any info, make the phone call there. 916-874-5115. What are they up to here with all these ballots at the homeless encampments? Why? It's just all mail in general, and they're just stealing as much mail as possible? Or is there something specifically about the election? Dom Scott says, I think billionaires should be taxed too, but pointing at one problem doesn't make other problems not exist. This is from the news cycle that just 2 days this week, telling people it's not happening only makes people more frustrated that their concerns aren't being heard. Hotel murder, a migrant stabbed an asylum hotel worker to death with a screwdriver in an argument over biscuits and then laughed and danced after they killed her. A Sudanese national dragged a girl 17 years old in a Swindon kidnapping attempt. BBC reports 2 people from Romania and Albania. Look, people, it's not a, let me go full screen so you can see the full scope of this. Lamestream media, that is one way to say it, but it's not lamestream media. It's not flush stream media. It's an alliteration. It's blankety blank. Well, I'll just tell you, it's lying legacy media. Lying legacy media. I'll type it in the comments. They haven't earned the right to be called mainstream, because that takes power away from us, since we know that they're completely corrupt and completely backward on 90% of things. They don't have the right to be called mainstream, and we got to take the language back. But this just shows you that this is about all sorts of people who are not from your place. If you're a visitor going through the immigration process, there need to be strict guidelines to follow. This person from Sudan, these 4 Romanian men and 1 Albanian. This man was jailed after piercing a teen's heart with a knife. Mohammed Ahmed Atli. Teens jailed for killing a 17-year-old near a bus stop. Father and son charged in a kidnap of a girl in a car. Mohammed Ali. Lugman Ali. It's all BBC crime from people that are not Britons, not Brits, allegedly. You got to be careful with the people you invite in. And if you're in without an invitation, you should be asked to show your credentials and go through the proper protocols. And you shouldn't be tolerating violence. This is a blast from the past video about a Michigan doctor sentenced for giving chemo to people who didn't have cancer. Just a reminder to always get your second opinion.
We begin with that breaking headline today: a Michigan doctor sentenced, being called a monster. A day of reckoning for the doctor who diagnosed hundreds of patients with cancer when they did not have it. Outside the court.
Anyway, that's the whole story. Just keep it in mind, okay? That might be an NBC article. I forget who that is. Hey, check this out. Jacksonville Jaguars star Travis Hunter responds to a reporter who asked him why he got baptized before his game.
Did you get baptized this morning?
Yes.
Why did you do that?
It's a crazy question. Why did I get?
It's a crazy question. Why did I get baptized? There he is on the right, and he's answering the crazy question on the left.
Baptized?
Why did you choose to go to church this morning?
Why would you go to church this morning?
Sunday. It's God's day. And
it's Sunday, and it's God's day.
And I've been planning to get baptized for a minute. You know, I want to change my.
Been planning to get baptized for a minute. I got to keep pausing it because of the piano music in the background.
Life over, become a better man.
He wants to change his life over and become a better man.
What does it mean to you? It means a lot.
And it means a lot. Good on him.
Becoming a better man, leaving my old flesh, and just
becoming a better man and leaving my old flesh. He's trying to. He got engaged, and maybe trying to leave his youth behind him, his childish ways, his youthful ways behind him. We'll say that. He seems to be a very bright, intelligent guy. I don't know. He's the guy the Cleveland Browns we had the pick where we could have taken him, but we traded for some extra draft picks next year so they could take the guy they really wanted.
Becoming the new Travis.
To become the new Travis. Good on him, new Travis.
Did you get
baptism? Liz Ann Saunders says the average age of a U.S. passenger car on the road. Without looking, don't look at the stats. What is the average age of the vehicle that's on the road that people are driving? Average age. Don't look at the graph. What age? In 1995, the average age of a U.S. passenger car on the road was 8.4 years, according to Data Arbor, Bloomberg, SP Global. In 1995, the average vehicle age was 8.4 years. Today, drop your number in the comments before you look at what it is. I've given you enough time. Type it and hit enter. 8.4 years in 1995. It's now 14.5 years. The dollar has been devalued. Our wealth has been stolen. We need to get our economy back on track. The inflation is crushing us. No, you guys said 8 years, which is lower by a half year. John guessed 6 years. That's 2.5 years lower. No, it's close to double. 14.5 years. All right, here's a question of the day. How old is your daily driver vehicle? I got to think how old mine is. I think mine's right on average here. Yeah, I think mine's right on average. They're stealing our way of life. You know, I told Michelle the other day, you know, America's had it a little too good for too long. You know, so I came in and told him, you know, you didn't build that. You didn't build that. And so in my third term with Joe Biden's Build Back Better, you know, we're going to go ahead and we're going to spend so much damn money and steal our resources, money laundering it through NGOs that are definitely governmental organizations. You know it. I know it. The American people know it. But, you know, we're going to have so much spending. Your purchase power, that dollar, it's going to be through the, you know, it's going to be trash. It's going to be trash. And, you know, that's just a part of how this goes. In our new Marxist America, look, you know, a lot of folks didn't have a chance to grow up in America, and that's not right. So we're going to flood this nation with 40 million illegal alien invaders to permanently, fundamentally transform. We're just 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America into a Marxist hellhole. So buckle up, Buttercup. You're going to enjoy this. There you go. Kenneth says, wow, mine is 18 years old, a 2007 Lincoln MKX, baby. John Brenneman says, holy smokes. His is 8 years. Which vehicle is yours? Yeah, mine is 14. It might be 14 and a half. Yeah, I'm like right on brand. And I've put a few $1,000 into it. That's for sure. Rear lock hatch actuators. I needed all new molding around all 4 or 5 windows. Had to get new a bevel. Is it called a bevel? I had to replace parts. I had to do a couple things. Still might have a little bit of work to do on it, but I've had to put a few $1,000 into it too. I want it to last for a while. But anyway. FBI Director Kash Patel says they took down one of the largest global human trafficking and cyber fraud networks ever. It was a criminal empire built on forced labor and lies, and they crushed it. FBI will use every tool to defend victims, recover stolen assets, and bring predators to justice. That's good. They said FBI Cyber and Human Trafficking Task Force initiated this probe years ago, tracing crypto fraud scams back to Cambodian compounds run by the Prince Group. Director Patel's team coordinated the global takedown, indicting key figures like Chairman Ho Tu for forced labor operations. Initial leads came from victim reports and IC3 complaints, but FBI agents executed the first major seizures. Desiree says, every time I drive past one of these sketchy motels and think something's not right here. Turns out you were right. 15 missing girls rescued, traffickers in handcuffs, the kind of evil that hides in plain sight, finally exposed. The FBI moved fast and good people made it happen. Thank you, Kash Patel, for fighting behind the scenes to protect America's daughters. Holy cow, says Carter Hughes. Ilhan Omar has called the president of Somalia our president at a Minneapolis rally. Somalia is our home. It is our heart. We always think about Somalia.
In a special relation. caawa aan fursad u helay madaxweynaha Soomaaliya
Why is Minnesota allowing somebody to represent a foreign country?
madaxweyne Xasan Sheikh Maxamuud inaan maanta ku soo dhaweyno Minneapolis.
Anyway, she goes on and on. Somalia is our home. It is our heart. We always think about Somalia. Then if that's your home and your heart, go there and represent them. John drives a 17 F-150 4x4. Nice. Only 32K miles. Nice. Marion's got a 23 Wrangler. Nice. Ducks on the dash, of course. Ducks on the dash, yes or no? Here's a terrible video. This is the store clerk, Auburn, Washington Police Department. Store clerk collapses, and instead of helping him, they empty the cash register. Truly disgusting. He has a medical event and passes out. Like, this is where you call for help. That guy could be dying right there. Instead, he walks over to try to steal money from the cash register. You fucking asshole. What a piece of garbage. What a piece of garbage. That guy's having a medical event and he needs life-saving help. And you're trying to rob him instead. Screw you. I mean, how gross is this? Just walking over this guy's body to steal everything they can. Leaving fingerprints everywhere, by the way. What a disgusting display. This as well. That's big balls, and he was beaten bloody. That's disgusting as well. Teens avoid jail time. Are you kidding me? Stephen A. Smith wants to tell us why so many Americans are pissed off. Is he on to something?
Are you going to say something?
I just want to say, there it is. I'm trying to be very respectful to everybody because they deserve it.
Why?
Let me say that, no, because you deserve it. But let me say this. I don't think Washington understands how ticked off we truly are. Think about the conversation that we're having right now. You brought up the single-payer system, emulating Canada. You know, we're looking at a president that just gave $20 billion to Argentina. We're hearing about or witnessing what I consider to be a retribution tour. And even though to some degree I don't blame him because of how people went after him, still it appears to be counterproductive. We're listening to this kind of stuff while a young man walked up to the microphone and said that he had to leave here to go and work on DoorDash to help pay for his daughter's tuition. Meanwhile, everybody up here getting paid. But he ain't. This is this kind of stuff right here. That's how you know, and I'm not accusing any of you directly or personally of feeling this way. I'm just talking about the apparatus that is Washington, the nation's capital. This is why you have so many Americans, excuse my language, so pissed off at Washington, because somehow, some way you get to have these conversations, engage in specific elements of it to talk about what we need to do to get things better. Our debt is $37.8 trillion. Somehow, some way, the taxpayers been paying this, been throwing money, because we all look at our check, and it's been going to the government. And somehow, some way, you're supposed to be doing something constructive and productive enough to make sure that we don't have that kind of deficit. It isn't happening. A government shutdown is going on right now. A man has to work on DoorDash when he's really an air traffic controller that we applauded. And we're up here talking about how much some money is going to cost. And the only person that don't have a check coming is him. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a break.
All right.
All right, he's going to take a break. Here's Democrat Representative Ro Khanna.
But you know why no one believes this Chuck Schumer thing? The country thinks he's too ineffective. But you know what?
He is ineffective.
No one believes this Chuck Schumer thing. The country thinks he's too ineffective. But you know,
Ro Khanna is one of the only decent Democrats, people say. Right Angle News Network says D.C. Judge Kendra Briggs allowed the two teens who jumped Edward Big Balls to avoid jail, saying her job is to rehabilitate, not punish. If it were multiple white people jumping a black person, part of the Obama administration, would a white judge... What would that look like, huh? Just reverse this. This is the fact that no punishment is coming. Probation is not punishment that's deserved there. You need to go to jail for that. If it's a little bit, fine, so what? But it needs to happen. And sadly, this is the mind virus going on, this conversation with Pierce Morgan and whoever this lady is, and the Kentucky swimmer here, Riley Gaines. Such a backward ideology. Take a listen.
Pierce,
Now you can
black
respond.
women cannot be racist to white women. Are you kidding me?
Sorry?
That makes no sense.
Sorry?
Black women cannot be racist to white women.
Is that a woman or is that a guy in drag? First off. Number two, I'm like Pierce Morgan, like, excuse me? Of course you can. And in fact, many cases, it's way worse. Some would say most cases, it's way worse. The anti-white racism compared to the anti-black racism.
Do you not understand that?
Oh, yes,
I
they
understand
can.
You don't have the intellectual
Oh, yes, they
capacity
can.
to understand that.
Oh, yes, they
but that's
can.
Very much
and you've been
impossible.
racist to me.
That's very much impossible.
You've been racist to me, a white man, by saying I'm a race baiter. Yeah.
How am I?
This strikes me as a guy cosplaying as a woman with all these exaggerated mannerisms. I don't know who this person is. I'm just wondering.
To me, a white man, by saying I'm a race baiter. Yeah.
How am I racist to you? I'm black. I can't be racist
You
to
called
you.
me a race
Are you
baiter
kidding
with
me?
no
You're
evidence.
Racist to me.
When have I
You
been
can
a
be
race
racist-
baiter?
You can be racist to me.
When have I been a race baiter?
But I'm a powerhouse.
Tell me when I've been a race
I'm a
baiter.
powerhouse.
I'm a powerhouse. I'm a powerhouse. I'm a powerhouse. I'm a powerhouse. Huh?
Well, you may be a
Pierce, I
powerhouse.
understand something.
You may be
I'm a powerhouse.
You may be a powerhouse.
Okay.
When have I been a race baiter?
I want you to admit that.
When have
okay.
I been a race baiter?
Okay.
When have I been a race baiter?
Okay.
This is absurd.
No, hang on. Tell me,
Honey.
Blossom. Give me one example of me race baiting. Blossom, go.
I'm here at this point. I'm just here to talk about trans women in sports. I said
Okay.
what I said.
So you don't have
And I
anything, do you?
So trans women in sports, is this a man LARPing as a lady?
Repeat anything.
You called me a race baiter.
You think these things are skits. This narrative perpetuates endless divisiveness and victimhood, says Matrix Mysteries. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. Thank you all for being here. I know, dude. Seriously. Dude. Kenneth says the debt is BS. Forget about it. We'll all be reset soon. How does it get reset? What does that look like? I know I keep hearing stuff like that. What would that actually like? How would it happen? I'm very curious. Type it in the comments. Very curious. All right. Well, that's what I wanted to share with you today. Follow the New American Media in all of the places, including Locals, Rumble, YouTube, etc. Please, if you can, if you'd be so kind to let some YouTube videos play, find a few and watch them in their entirety. We're trying to get 390 something hours watched as soon as possible. So then we can click the button and advertise on our 2,000 videos again. It would mean the world if we could boost these numbers, watch some old content. Got a lot of good, interesting, compelling content over the years. So definitely, if you could do that, that would be awesome. All the tip jar stuff is scrolling at the bottom. We have Rumble rants and super chats. All right. Well, I got a couple of trees from the local municipality. Big trees. Got to figure out where to plant them. Pretty excited about that. I think I'm going to give one to a neighbor who let me dig up, well, he dug up for me several plants, very specific plants that bloom at a very specific time of year. 5,025, 600 minutes. Yes, that's how many I need. That's it, Kenneth. Is it 5,025,600 minutes? That's how it goes. Something is something. How do you measure a year? Yes, something like that. All right. And that's how many minutes we need. So if anybody could watch that on YouTube, we'd greatly appreciate it. All right. Thank you all for being here. Hopefully we covered some of the interesting stories of the day. Anything else breaking that I'm unaware of? I don't know. Holy War, Senate Democrats, slime cry. I don't know. This is breaking. Senate Democrats. 27 veteran members of Congress called out Chuck Schumer and Senate Democrats for blocking troop pay and veteran benefits. Dems are against our troops. Okay. What's new in the Holy War comment? Or Britain in a holy war. Okay. Holy war referring to college football? I don't know what that's all about. Oh, maybe that's what they're talking about. Utah fans getting ready for the holy war on Saturday. Okay. Utah versus BYU. There we go. That's why that's trending. Also, there's a global caliphate afoot. Neither we submit to that or we retain a different culture with more freedom and respect for everybody, whether you participate or not. That's what America is. That's why the Bill of Rights are so important, to protect ourselves from stuff like that. All right. I'm going to sign out. I appreciate you for being here. I love you. And we will talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody. Peace.
Your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.